Hey guys, so I want to talk about something this week that someone asked me about a week ago, and I thought it was worth a video, and that is maintaining mental health in music school. They have some things like it's a multiple question kind of ask, and I thought that it was really important to talk about it in a more in depth way than just a typed out, really lengthy response. So that's what I'm doing now. Just a note, I am neurotypical and I don't have a ton of experience, nor am I trained in any kind of psychological therapy. So, what I say may not work for everyone, it may not even be correct for everyone. Um, and if I give misinformation, I want someone to say something because the last thing I want to do is give people bad information about something that can be so dangerous. Um, and so I'm just giving that disclaimer before I launch into this. um, so the first thing that it was an anonymous ask, that this person asked was about just maintaining your mental health while in music school. Um, and there's also a question about practicing and getting blocked in practice and some other things. So I'm gonna try to get through all of that. Um, and the first thing that I found useful in when I was in school was having a support system set up. Having friends who I felt like I could actually talk to about my issues and about the problems I was having physically and mentally, and also just talk to about life was really helpful because it felt like I had people who knew who I was and knew where I was going and knew what I wanted and could help me get there rather than just feeling alone. And then also having professors and a teacher that I felt like I could actually go to and talk to that knew some of the things that I was struggling with personally and that I could go to and go, hey, I have this issue, or hey, this week I really wasn't feeling good and couldn't get through some of this stuff. Or hey, I'm overwhelmed, can we cut back? Um, and that's not always the case with your professor, and that can be really hard. In which case, I really suggest finding someone else in the school, whether it be a doctoral student or another professor or a master's student, even someone older who can help you through some of this stuff. Um, I just know a lot of people who try to go it alone in music school, and it's just really hard, and it can really get to you. And I know a lot of people who burnt out because of it, because they put so much pressure on themselves to be perfect and never let themselves show the struggle that they just couldn't handle it. So I think letting that stress out, sharing it with other people who can help you and support you can be really helpful. The other thing is having some kind of outlet to relieve your stress that isn't music related. Music school is all encompassing and it's terrifying sometimes and it's just overwhelming sometimes. So having something that you can do that's healthy to relieve that stress is really great. I ran a lot in my master's because it was hard and running helped me clear my head. In my undergrad, I knit and I had a lot of friends who were not in music, so I could kind of have a non-music night and just watch stupid TV and not think about the music school for a while. And that was really helpful. But it doesn't really matter what your outlet is as long as it's healthy and helps you relieve some of the stress that music school creates. Because for a lot of us coming into music school, music was our stress relief. Music was the thing that helped us get through those really awful days in high school and helped us get through the really terrible things that happened in your life. And the problem with music school is it creates that stress relief becomes your stressor. So it's hard. And there's no two ways about it. So finding other ways to relieve that stress can be really, really great. With burnout and feeling like you can't practice, I have a hard time talking about this just because I basically have conditioned myself over the past 18 years to feel like I need to practice every day. It's just part of my routine. It just doesn't feel like a day that's successful if I don't touch my instrument or do some kind of practice. And keep in mind that practice isn't always physical. Practice can be listening, it can be score study, it can be research, it can be all of these things. And so practice doesn't always have to involve touching your instrument. And that can be a nice break if you're feeling stuck. Like, go do some score study, go get reinvigorated in your music by listening to other people, do all of that kind of stuff, and then come back. Also, for me, the goal, setting goals in my practice and giving myself an incentive to make those goals. It's not just, I'm going to do this and then you do it. Like, I'm going to do this and then tonight I'm going to make mac and cheese and veg out. Or, like, I know some people who are string players or pianists who keep candy with them, and, like, if I can do this thing, I'll have a piece of candy. Like, it's super childish sometimes, but it works. And those incentives can kind of help you push yourself forward, but also stay focused. Recording practice sessions can always be really helpful, as always, but if you feel like you're not motivated to practice, I think taking a day off can be really, really great. There's no shame in it, and it can be really, really helpful to get yourself back into the mental space to practice. And there's no shame in days off. So try to find a day and just set it aside as, this is a day I will not touch my instrument, and I will not feel guilty about it, because tomorrow I can come back and really start working again. So that can also be helpful, but there's so many ways to stay motivated. It's just a matter of figuring out what works for you. These are all things that work for me personally, but not everyone works the way I do, and not everyone has the brain that I do. I hope not, at least. So it's going to take some trial and error, and that's why your freshman year isn't really the year where you get better. It's the year where you figure everything out, and then sophomore year and following that, that's when you really get better. And the final thing that this person asked was about using the mental health services that your school provides. And I want to say, definitely, if you feel like you need to use them, go for it. I've used them, almost everyone I know has at some point, and they can be really, really helpful to just have a professional help you. And I know there's a lot of stigma around it, and there's a lot of shame, it seems, in seeing a professional. And I just want to say that there isn't. I come from a family where getting psychological help isn't a thing that you do. It's not something that we talk about, and it's not something that's really accepted. And me going to therapy was actually a pretty interesting situation with my family, and it was weirdly stress-filled when I told my parents about it. So that's really scary to think about. Like, my family doesn't support this. But I want to say it's worth it in the end. If you need help, and you can't let anyone else tell you otherwise. And yes, that's hard, I get it. But it's really, really important that you get the help that you need, and sometimes that requires a professional. And I think the last thing I want to leave you guys with is, don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it be professional or not. If you're struggling in class, go to the professor and ask them for help. Ask them for a way to lessen your stress, to see if they can help you after school, not after school, but after class, whether they have a TA that can help you, whether they can pair you up with a person who's doing well in the class who can help you figure out what's going on. Like, ask for help. Um, Talk to your teacher if you're if you feel like you're overwhelmed. Like, all of these people are here to help you. They're not there to watch you fail. And if they are, then you need to change your situation. Um, so yeah, I hope this is helpful in some way, and if anything I said is wrong, please let me know. Um, I'm always learning, and I know what this is an area I'm weaker in. So this is what I think I can say, and I want all of you guys to be healthy and successful, and I, yeah. So I want to thank you guys for bearing with me in the weird upload schedule. My life has been a little crazy lately. And I hope that you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you sometime next week.